So, you are still here, against all odds. You returned once again. I suppose I should acknowledge that. Though, don't mistake it for praise. Survival is not achievement. Showing up is not excellence. You are simply doing the bare minimum required to continue breathing in my classroom. Still, you didn't vanish like the others. That counts for something. Today we move into a new level of structure. The topic may sound familiar, but only to those who have actually been paying attention. We will revisit the system of formal and informal speech in Hungarian, how you choose between addressing someone with intimacy or distance, between equality or hierarchy. You will also begin your first steps into the indefinite conjugation in the present tense. Yes, the foundation of all motion in this language. And before you ask, no, it won't be easy. I don't believe in easy. But before we dive into grammar, I have an announcement. The waiting is over. The Compass to Growth program is ready. My rules, your freedom. This is not a vague self-help toy or a recycled productivity trick. This is a system, one that tears through the noise and rebuilds structure inside your life. A framework designed for those who have grown tired of mediocrity, of chasing validation, of hiding behind masks and pretending someone they are not. I will not show you how to become someone else. I will show you how to reveal the real person buried beneath the masks and the endless need for validation. Whether your struggle is with discipline, purpose, or your pathetic lack of direction, it ends here. You will use Compass to Growth to rebuild your habits, relaunch your projects, and finally control the chaos you call life. And because I still believe in rewarding obedience, every purchase includes 2 months of free entry into my community. That is where you will connect, practice, and actually evolve under real pressure. The link is waiting in the description below. Click it, purchase the program, and take the first step toward order. My rules, your freedom. But now, back to Hungarian. You came here to learn, not to hide behind excuses. Today, as I said, we revisit the balance between formal and informal speeches. And we finally open the door to indefinite conjugation. Both require sensitivity, precision, and the basic respect for structure. Qualities I am not yet convinced you possess. But perhaps you will surprise me. And before you start celebrating, yes, there will be homework. There is always homework. It is not optional, not negotiable. You will complete it because I expect it. That expectation is not cruelty. It is the price of progress. Weak learners look for comfort. Disciplined learners obey the process. You will obey. You will learn. You will complete what I assign. Only then will you earn the right to continue. Now, let's begin. You remember the rules of formality, don't you? At least I hope so. Though from the look in your eyes, I can already tell confidence is not your strong skill. Still, I pretend you do. For now. The formal forms ön, önök, maga, maguk are considered third-person pronouns. Thus, although they translate as you, they always use the third-person forms of the verb. As a result, the first few times you use them, you may feel like you are speaking about somebody instead of addressing him or her directly. Confusing? Of course it is. Hungarian never makes anything easy for beginners. But you will survive. You always do. Barely. Let's make things worse. The formal form actually comes in 2 versions. Maga and ön. In plural, it's maguk and önök. And you will have to know when to use each, or you risk insulting someone without even realizing it. Use ön or önök when meeting people for the first time, especially when in a formal public or business setting. Use it when you are with elderly or people with authority. If you are a man, use the formal with women unless they suggest otherwise. You will often find ön or önök written with a capital letter. This is not a grammar rule, merely a matter of personal preference, a little stylistic bow of respect. When in familiar setting, you abandon the armor. You use te or ti with your close family members, friends, peers, and children, as well as with animals and when addressing God in prayers. The use of maga and maguk, however, is a different battlefield. It is currently in flux in the language, shifting between tones of closeness and distance, which has both positive and negative uses depending on your tone, your age, and your intentions. The over 60 generation may still use these pronouns with family members, for example parents, and it is considered as a polite yet still familiar form of address. The under 30 generation, however, is unlikely to be familiar with this positive usage and is far more accustomed to its negative, almost sarcastic tone, as when a stranger with sharp annoyance demands an explanation. Maga mit képzel? What are you thinking? A question that carries far more sting than its translation. And yet, in certain rural dialects, the old tradition still breathes. In villages and among older speakers, maga and maguk can still function as polite forms of address, carrying warmth instead of irritation. So, before you copy what you hear, stop and think. The meaning of a single word can shift like smoke. One wrong tone, one careless pronoun, and what you thought was respect turns into contempt. This is Hungarian social precision. You will learn it, or you will embarrass yourself publicly. And I don't tolerate embarrassment. Now we enter dangerous territory. Hungarian verb conjugation. This is not child's play. This is the moment when the weak crumble, when the lazy finally realize that Hungarian was never meant for the unstructured mind. It demands focus, logic, and discipline, 3 things you claim to have, but rarely demonstrate. If you still struggle with structure, perhaps you should stop pretending to study grammar and start rebuilding your habits instead. You can begin by taking my Compass to Growth program. It will teach you what no school ever did. How to think in systems, how to move with discipline instead of emotion. My rules, your freedom. But for now, try to stay with me. In the previous unit, you learned to conjugate the irregular verb van, the infamous Hungarian to be. In this unit, you will learn the endings for the present tense of regular verbs. Hungarian differentiates between 2 conjugations, indefinite and definite. You will learn the indefinite conjugation first. Verbs conjugate by adding an ending on the stem to indicate the subject of the sentence. The endings come in a back vowel and front vowel variants. Shocking, I know. So, if you still haven't mastered vowel harmony after all this time, perhaps you should stop pretending you're learning Hungarian. Click here and start reviewing like an actual student. This would be an excellent time to do that. The stem of the verb is the form found in dictionaries and the form found here in the vocabulary lists, with the exception of so-called ik verbs, discussed a bit later. The stem is identical to the third-person singular he, she, it form of the verb, or to say it another way, there is no ending on the third-person singular form of the verb in the indefinite conjugation. Here, then, are the endings for the indefinite present tense conjugation. Attach the appropriate ending to the verb stem to conjugate the verb. Remember, since Hungarian doesn't require pronouns, it is often only the conjugated verb itself that clearly expresses the subject of the sentence. The verb ending alone tells you who is doing the action. If you miss that, you miss the entire structure. Below are the conjugations for 3 verbs. Tud, meaning knows how, can, or able to. as an example for back vowel words, and beszél meaning speaks for front and rounded vowel words, and ül meaning sits for front rounded vowel words. Study them carefully. Don't just stare at the table as if it will magically imprint itself into your brain. Write, speak, repeat. That's how structure becomes muscle. And if you fail to do that, you will continue to stumble like a tourist reading signs in the dark. And now, the special cases, because Hungarian loves to watch you suffer just a little longer before you finally understand. You have learned the basic endings, or at least you claim to have. But let's see how long this confidence lasts when the language decides to twist the rules just enough to expose your weakness. If the verb stem ends in the letters es, s, or z, then the t ending changes. Why? Because Hungarian, unlike you, values efficiency. It refuses to tolerate clumsy sounds stacked on top of each other. It's difficult to pronounce the regular ending S sound immediately after these letters. So, the language simply refuses to let you embarrass yourself. If the verb stem ends in S, S or Z, then the T ending becomes all for back vowel words, L for front vowel unrounded words, or öl for front rounded vowels. So the T form for olvas, reads, is olvasol. For vesz, buys, it's veszel. And for főz, cooks, it's főzöl. Notice the difference, underline it, and don't you dare forget it. The rest of the conjugation is regular, which is the closest thing to mercy you will ever get from Hungarian grammar. Now, brace yourself because there is another group waiting to test your patience. Verbs ending in eat or in two consonants. A rather large number of Hungarian verbs end this way. For example, tanít meaning teaches, segít meaning helps, ért meaning understands, and küld meaning sends. These verbs need a linking vowel when adding the te, ti, and ők endings. Without it, you would sound like you're choking on your own pronunciation. The linking vowel choice is a, e for the te and ők endings, forming as, s, and anak, enek. The linking vowel choice for ti is o, e, ö, forming otok, etek, ötök. Simple enough, at least for anyone capable of holding more than one rule in their head at a time. But I know you. You will forget, you will panic, and you will end up by saying something that means nothing at all. That's why you write these down, out loud and on paper, until your hand remembers what your brain refuses to. This is not cruelty, this is structure, and Hungarian rewards only the structured. In English, there are several verb forms that are all used to express the present tense. For example, I read, I do read, I am reading. Hungarian has only one present tense, and the subtle differences expressed in the English examples are accounted for in other ways. You would never try to use a helping verb in Hungarian to translate the English expression like I am reading, I am writing. Just say olvasok or táncolnak. Now, your homework. Write one Hungarian verb in the indefinite present tense for each of the three pronouns én, te, ő. Choose a verb that reflects who you are. Post your three verbs in the comments below. I will read them, and I will immediately know who actually studied and who merely watched. Now, your task is clear. Don't delay, don't hide. I expect results, not excuses. And when you finish, you will remember that the rules you just followed here, the structure, the discipline, the focus, are the same principles that rebuild entire lives. If you're ready to bring that order beyond language, my program is waiting for you. It is called Compass to Growth. My rules, your freedom. It is a complete system for introducing new habits, repairing broken areas of life, and achieving goals that once felt unreachable. Any goal, any field, any chaos you dare to fix, you will find the link in the description below. Click it, purchase the program, or access the supplementary materials and exercises on my website. There you can also join my community, where the weak disappear and the disciplined rise. Now go, complete your homework, or don't. Either way, I will know.